Did Mr. Fergus take any staff from the IIA unit with him?
Washington, no.
Is that not unusual for a speaker traveling abroad on a trip like that to have staff from the IIA?
Again, if it's a longer, perhaps more complicated trip with more meetings, then absolutely we send one of our exchanges officers. Again, if it's a smaller, shorter trip, again, either within Canada or in cases like this to Washington, it's not unusual.
Who accompanied Mr. Fergus to Washington, D.C. then?
I believe it was his chief of staff and his director of events.
Does the International and Interparliamentary Affairs Unit have a copy of Mr. Fergus's Washington itinerary?
Yes, because they would have been very involved in preparing it.
Would you be able to table that with the committee, the details of that agenda?
The official program, you
yeah.
mean? Again, if it's the direction from this committee, we can produce that.
That would be appreciated. Did Mr. Fergus meet with his counterpart, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, while in Washington, D.C.?
I believe it did happen at the last minute. It wasn't confirmed when the Speaker was leaving, but I believe that meeting did happen finally. Yeah.
Is it unusual for a Speaker to travel abroad during a sitting week?
Unusual, but not completely unprecedented.
And it would note about kind of why the decision was made for last week and planned for last week for those dates. And the reason I say that is in January, when our House is not sitting and the U.S. House is in session there's several weeks in January that would not have provided a conflict to be there. Was there any discussion about moving that to January or a time when the House was not sitting?
I don't know how much discussion there was, because I think there was an event that the Speaker had already planned on attending, so the idea was to build the visit around that. But again, those are perhaps questions better put to the Speaker at 9:30.
Mr. Fergus attended a retirement party of some sort in Washington, D.C. for a Klaus Graham cow. Were you aware of the Speaker's attendance as part of the itinerary for that trip?
Yes.
The comments, you saw the video, the excerpt of the comments he made at that party? And I'll just remind that he was speaking about his history once again in a partisan fashion, about his time as president of the Young Liberals and his election and how he was going to win that election back in that day, and sharing how Mr. Graham Cow was connected and all that. You mentioned the video was inappropriate in his role as Speaker. I would assume that his comments on a Speaker delegation to Washington, D.C., speaking at an event, public or a video, would be inappropriate. Would you say that's another inappropriate comment made by the Speaker on this trip?
Decision, Mr. Duncan. I didn't say that the video was inappropriate. I said that I would have advised not to do the video. Maybe a little
I'll reword my question to say you said he should not have done it. Would your advice been, knowing this, that he should have not made these comments at the event as well?
I think that's a fair remark, yeah.
So if I were just to conclude on this, you've said that it would not, if your advice and knowing ahead of time, you would have advised him not to make the video to the Ontario Liberal Party convention. Would you have advised him not to make the comments that he had made in his interview with the Globe and Mail, where he cited the Ontario Liberal Party as our party? Would you have advised him not to do that or to say that?
Again, normally we're not sought for advice in terms of political or party events. So again, I've never really been sought counsel on a question like that. It's really hard to answer, to be perfectly honest, Mr. Duncan. Yeah.
And I think what I would say there, where I'm going, is not only the advice to say to not partake in the video, to partake in Washington, D.C. at this retirement party, to go and speak in a partisan fashion about his history with the Young Liberals of Canada and so forth there. And again, the advice not to engage in partisan by referring to our party, the Ontario Liberal Party. Just wanted to make sure we were on the record for all three of those challenges. Thank you.